Welcome back to Wales in the Movies, and welcome back, in audio at least, to the Ice Shed. Are you thinking of visiting Wales? Well, count yourself lucky. For despite being one of Europe's oldest nations, not everybody out there on planet Earth is aware of Wales as a nation, or even aware of Wales at all. There are loads of famous movies filmed here, making use of the very diverse and beautiful Welsh landscape. But Wales faces a problem sometimes that even people like movie producers or stars still don't know that Wales is a different country to England. Exhibit A here from Clash of the Titans movie from Warner Brothers in 2010.
I saw Duke Gray in a picture.
And Exhibit B here, Tom Cruise talks about the film Twin Town.
The Scottish film Twin Town. The Scottish
So we're showcasing the films not just made in Wales, but Welsh stories actually set here in Wales and containing Welsh themes. Our criteria is representation. Films listed here are ones which we believe best represent Wales to a domestic or international audience.
No, we can't land in Wales.
Prepare for impact.
Viewers, wherever you're from, thanks for watching. Now, strap yourselves in and let's count down the top 10 Welsh movies. Number 10, The Dark. What's even more rare than a movie set in Wales is a true genre film set in Wales, so in many ways The Dark breaks the mould. Based loosely on Simon McGinn's novel Sheep, The Dark sees divorced American woman Adele travel to Wales with her troubled daughter Sarah to visit Father James, who has set up home on a rather desolate part of the Welsh coast.
So your father.
The plot centres around the disappearance of Sarah near a cliffside monument inscribed with the Welsh legend of Annwn. The Dark contains expositional moments of Welsh language culture, which is a rare treat.
Annwn.
Not Annwn. Annwn. It's Welsh.
The Cornish locations look awesome, and in our opinion the story is well acted and dark enough to keep suspense going until its twisty ending. Sean Bean, Maria Bello, plus an underrated Maurice Roves all provide solid work, helping The Dark to shine rather brightly despite its limited marketing and press exposure upon its release in 2005. Number 9, The Last Days of Darwin. Notable for being prolific Welsh playwright Emlyn Williams' only film as director, The Last Days of Darwin was also Hollywood legend Richard Burton's first screen appearance. In the story, a rep of an English landowner visits the small Welsh village of Darwin to purchase the valley and turn it into a reservoir to supply English cities with water. As if that could ever happen, eh?
Darwin will be drowned.
A handful of insanitary dwellings will, by a miracle of science, become useful
To you.
to me and to 1 million human beings.
Not a perfect film by any means, but this has spooky links to Welsh historical events before and after its 1949 release. It's hardly a film you'd get your buddies around to watch on a Saturday night, but anyone with an interest in how the Welsh have been represented in film, watch The Last Days of Darwin for the pathos and the excellent performances not only from Burton, but also Emlyn Williams as the dastardly traitor Rob. Number 9, The Last Days of Darwin. Number 8, Pride. This is a little bit of a cheat, as Pride is also set in London, England, but the movie is so intrinsically linked to Wales in its themes and subject matter, and of course it's part setting in an 80s Welsh mining village, so we're definitely counting it as a Welsh film. Attending his first ever political demonstration, shy young Joe is befriended by a crew of gay and lesbian activists in 1984 London, led by the charismatic Mark Ashton.
I want everyone to take a bucket and start rattling. This is for the miners.
The UK government is led by scary witch Margaret Thatcher and a bitter dispute with the National Coal Board, who was striking across the whole of the United Kingdom.
One isn't here to be a softie.
Mark sees potential friends and comrades in the miners, so his group do
LGSM.
bucket collections setting up LGSM, Lesbians and Gays Support the Miners.
It's not very catchy.
It's a support group, Steph, not a skiffle band.
They choose to visit a village in Wales on suggestion of group member Gethin, who's a Welshman living in London with his partner John.
If it's miners you're looking for, Wales.
What comes next is a predictable but fantastically fun clash of worlds, ripe for dramatic comedy premise and perfect for British sensibilities.
Your gays have arrived. What's this?
Part of what makes Pride so brilliant is that knowing exactly what's coming does not affect the movie's charm in any way. Energetically directed and edited with a fantastic script, heartfelt performances and so very, very Welsh, Pride is an absolute treasure and the best film of 2014, hands down. Number 7, Hedd Wyn. Paul Turner's 1992 anti-war biopic was the first Welsh language film to be nominated for an Oscar in the Best Foreign Language category at the '94 Academy Awards.
My home country, Hedd Wyn. Paul Turner director.
Based on the life of Ellis Evans, aka Hedd Wyn, in terms of Welsh language and culture, this may be the most Welsh film ever made, and the reason for that is simple. It's probably the only movie which attempts to explore Wales's relationship with England, and therefore the rest of the United Kingdom.
Win this bloody war with a bunch of ignorant Welsh peasants on our side.
Ellis, a farmer's son but prodigal poet, is soon required to enlist in the British Army, who have recently declared war on the German Empire.
I believe that you have another son, Robert Llewellyn.
Hedd Wyn, the film, depicts not just the contrast between pastoral North Wales and the shrapnel-covered horrors of the Western Front, but also tensions between the Welsh and the English, and the key elements that separate two very different nationalisms. Number 7, Hedd Wyn. Number 6, American Interior. The only documentary on the list, American Interior was a labour of love for singer-songwriter Griff Rhys of the alternative rock band Super Furry Animals. Griff traces through towns of the American heartland, doing PowerPoint presentation tours following the trail of Welsh explorer John Evans. Wales doesn't teach its children the myth of Madoc, a Welsh prince from the Dark Ages who, legend has it, discovered America and fathered a tribe of Welsh-speaking Native Americans. It's a fascinating myth and symbolic of how Wales should really be selling itself to the world. Griff Rhys is clearly fascinated by this bit of mythology making, taking inspiration from and giving screen time not just to Evans, but also legendary Welsh historian Gwyn Alf Williams.
Follow the trail of Madoc over the Atlantic, up to the Missouri. We may find there's little truth in it. We may find there's no truth in it. But that won't be enough, because what people believe to have been true, particularly if they acted on it, is as significant for history as what actually was true.
Despite a serious subject matter on language identity and the effects of colonialism, Rhys never loses sight of the absurdity of both his quest and that of his real-life ancestor Evans, which makes American Interior a treat on many, many levels. Number 5, The Englishman Who Went Up a Hill But Came Down a Mountain. As part of the World War I effort to know the British terrain, 2 English cartographers played by Hugh Grant and Ian McNeice are sent to the Welsh village of Fawr to determine whether her cherished local mountain is in fact a mountain at all. For if it fails to measure up to 1,000 feet, it will thereon be classed as only a hill.
Goodness gracious, these Welsh names. Would you mind saying that again?
Fawr, man. Simple. Listen, I write it down for you now.
When the initial measurement reads only 927 feet, a quirky British comedy plot ensues. Yes, this movie has a confused tone and an inappropriate romantic subplot, but the real story here is the very Welsh spirit of the village of Fawr and its inhabitants, led by Colm Mealy's Morgan the Goat and the permanently exasperated local reverend, played by the very amusing Kenneth Griffith. An epic-feeling orchestral soundtrack make this a totally watchable tale. Most notably, Christopher Munger's 1995 film was the first American studio production set in Wales since The Corn is Green with Betty Davis in 1945. And that, plus a very traceable and quirky Welsh thrust, despite all the flaws, gets it a place in our top 10. Number 5, The Englishman Who Went Up a Hill But Came Down a Mountain. Number 4, Patagonia. 2 stories run simultaneously in Mark Evans' 2010 labour of love. Caris is an elderly Argentinian lady who dreams of her family's lost Welsh farm and takes a plane to Wales along with a drooped travel companion in young Alejandro. Gwen and Rhys are a couple from Cardiff whose relationship is coming to a crossroads when Gwen accompanies Rhys on a photography assignment to Patagonia. For those unschooled in Welsh history, Argentina is the only state outside the UK where communities of Welsh speakers exist, remaining since a small group of colonists fled cultural and linguistic oppression from the British state on the transport ship La Mimosa in 1865.
am yr ariannin. Ar ei bwrdd yr oedd 163 o Gymru, yn dianc rhag tlodi ei ffermydd bychain a chyflogau P2 y Pyllau Glo.
While there, Gwen and Rhys are guided on their trip by Mateo, a charming Cymro Argentino played by Welsh favourite Matthew Rhys, while Caris and Alejandro struggle with the Welsh public transport back home as they go searching for Caris's home farmland. These two road trips may well tell you more about Wales' modern history than any other movie you can watch. The cast also features Duffy in what I think is still her only film credit, with a fine cameo performance. Definitely more a Tuesday night movie than a Saturday night movie for sure, but prolific Welsh director Mark Evans seems very at home, contrasting the epic locations with the really personal and intimate subject matter. Patagonia is a must-watch for the Cymru curious. Number 3, How Green Was My Valley? This may slightly surprise some people. How Green Was My Valley was criticised upon release, and it still is, for its representations of Wales and Welsh culture. And yes, it is a sanitised, even sentimentalised fantasy look at the turn of the 19th and 20th centuries. The Morgan family saga is seen through the eyes of young Hugh Morgan, who's played in picture by a young Roddy McDowall in his first screen appearance. However, the narrative voice we hear is that of old Hugh, as spoken by American actor Irving Pitchell.
But I am the child that was. Nobody knows how I felt, except only me.
Legendary director John Ford's famous response when quizzed as to why this Wales-set film contained so much Irish imagery has long hung heavy around the film's shoulders. But regardless of what you think about that, this emotional adaptation of Richard Llewellyn's novel is set in a beautifully depicted Valleys, Wales that was mainly filmed on the 20th Century Fox parking lot back in Los Angeles, yet beat Citizen Kane to the Best Picture award at the 1942 Academy Awards. Let that sink in, folks. A movie set in Wales beats Citizen Kane to the Oscar. No argument from us. How Green Was My Valley would be higher on the list, but number 2 is Human Traffic. Not exactly blessed with a high production value or an experienced crew, Human Traffic plays like a genuine record of a significant moment in British and European youth culture.
Wonder how the drug system works in here.
Every club is different, but in the asylum, it's the manager. He has a string of homeboys dealing the pucketees to the party people in the club.
The story is an everyday coming-of-age tale set over one long party weekend. John Sim plays Jib, our narrator and protagonist, hanging out with his drugged-up mates, including Danny Dyer, in a very early but still unmatched comedic performance from him. The representations of Welshness are not while you'll enjoy this work. UK magazine Total Film in 1999 labelled The Matrix as the perfect film to end the century with. But if you're British now and in your 30s or 40s, then perhaps Human Traffic fits that bill more for you. In the age of so many generic digital movies, a retrospective viewing in 2016 elevates Human Traffic, and a raw product such as this, shot entirely on film, now almost feels like a documentary in places, and that is to the film's credit. The rest of director Justin Kerrigan's energetic young cast and crew brilliantly fuse with the editing and narrative style of the post-Trainspotting era to give Cardiff and Wales its coolest moment in the Britpop sun. Or something. Reach for the lasers, safe as fuck. Number 2, Human Traffic.
Yeah. Oh, fucking twat.
Number 1, Twin Town. You knew this was coming. Twin Town doesn't quite match Human Traffic in terms of its Britpop cool, but it smashes everything in sight with its bravery, originality, and of course its brutal, violent humour. Local tearaways the Lewis brothers, played by now Hollywood famous Rhys Ifans, and his real life bro Clear Ifans, take revenge on local big shot Bryn Cartwright, brilliantly played by Welsh film regular William Thomas, when he refuses to pay compensation for their father after a workplace accident.
And if I don't, I've told the boys what I want.
He wants to be buried at fucking sea.
With a Welsh flag and a big choir singing as I go down.
And that's all you need to know. Whether watching for laughs or thrills, Twin Town just gets better and better on more viewings, which often is the mark of something unique. Kevin Allen's directing confidently straddles the different genres, blazing a trail for all the Welsh films that followed it in the 90s. That's right, both of them. In our opinion, it's a no-brainer. Despite what Tom Cruise may think, Twin Town is a Welsh film, and Wales in the Movies thinks the most Welsh film ever made. And if not, it's definitely the most quotable Welsh film ever.
Pretty shitty city.
I'm going full-time karaoke. Well, only fucking hot dog it is, eh, boy bach?
Twin Town, right between the posts, Premier fucking League. So, that's it. Do you agree with our list? What is your favourite Welsh film? Please leave a comment if you have any thoughts, and to help us shine a movie light on all things Welsh, you can subscribe to Wales in the Movies for regular comedy content. Remember, every click makes Wales look bigger. Hwyl fawr.